So this is going to be the first of many videos that's going to be dropping today on the channel because all the jump chapters are back. I have to talk about Centauria later. So this is going to be a really fun day, but I wanted to start the day off by talking about Kagurabachi because like I said, the jump chapters are back. Kagurabachi Chapter 121 has released. I read this chapter a little bit ago, and yeah, there's definitely a lot to say here. Like, there's always been a lot to say when it comes to a lot of these Kagurabachi chapters, especially when it comes to everything currently going on in the Seitei War arc. So I definitely do have a couple things I do want to talk about with you guys when it comes to my initial reaction, when it basically comes to my whole entire thought process. Like, I basically just want to walk you through everything that was going through my head as I was reading this Kagurabachi chapter from beginning to end. So if you guys have any thoughts of your own, which I'm pretty sure you do, and you want to talk about with me in the comments, be sure to do so because I'm always very curious to hear what sort of things you guys have to say when it comes to all of these chapters. But yeah, let's just get straight into this right away. So first off, man, I'm just happy that Kagurabachi is finally back from break because I really missed talking about this manga on the channel. It always felt weird whenever we go on break without a new chapter because this series has become one of those manga where every single Sunday I'm just excited to sit down and see what Hokuzono is going to cook up next, especially with everything happening in the Seitei War arc right now. This arc has honestly been insane for a while now, so finally getting into chapter 121 after the break felt really good. And the crazy thing is, the chapter immediately throws us right back into all of the chaos without wasting any time whatsoever. Right away, we see Shiba, we see the prince, we see the other Sogas, and of course, we see Mashiro as well. And the atmosphere immediately feels tense because after everything that happened in the previous chapters, you already knew this fight wasn't about to calm down at all. The prince especially just continues to feel overwhelming every single time he's on screen because the dude really feels like a monster. And then when we see him regenerating and restoring himself back to full health, it honestly just makes the situation feel even worse because it's basically reminding everybody that this dude is still nowhere near finished. And honestly, it makes complete sense why he's able to feel this terrifying considering everything we've learned throughout this arc. The Seitei War arc has been doing a really good job at showing us just how dangerous this era actually was, and why the enchanted blades even needed to be created in the first place. Because when you look at the threats like the prince and the Mikaboshi, you start understanding that these weren't enemies normal people could just casually deal with. These are the kinds of monsters that force entire systems and weapons to be created just so humanity even has a chance to survive against them. And that's honestly one of my favorite things about this arc right now because Hokuzono is making the world feel really dangerous. It doesn't feel like one of those situations where the heroes are always guaranteed to make it out okay just because they're important characters. Every chapter lately has been giving off this feeling that something horrible could happen at any moment, and chapter 121 really doubled down on that feeling in a major way. One of the biggest things I really liked about this chapter was finally getting an actual explanation for Shiba's sorcery because for the longest time, I think a lot of us just simplified it as teleportation. Every single time Shiba would just disappear or instantly reposition himself, most people just kind of accept it as it is, like, oh, okay, he can just teleport. But chapter 121 finally gave us a more depth behind what his ability actually is, and honestly, I'm really glad Hokuzono decided to explain it here. The sorcery itself is called Wicked Trick. It's honestly a really fitting name because the ability itself sounds insanely broken once you actually think about what it does. The chapter explains that Shiba can activate a momentarily error for himself and whoever he touches, allowing him to freely manipulate positional information and physical properties like height and weight. And once you hear that explanation, suddenly so many moments involving Shiba throughout the series starts making way more sense. And that's what I really appreciate about this reveal because it doesn't just exist for the sake of sounding cool, it actually recontextualizes a lot of things we've already seen Shiba do throughout the manga, and it makes his movements feel way more technical and way more dangerous than simple teleportation. The dude has basically been manipulating the rules around positioning and physical properties this whole time, and honestly that's a really creative ability when you sit there and think about it. And I also think this chapter did a really good job of reminding people why Shiba is such an important character overall. Even outside of his strength, there's always been this calmness and intelligence around him that makes him stand out. And learning more about this his sorcery just adds even more depth to him. It was one of those explanations where after reading it, I just sat there thinking, okay, yeah, this actually makes Shiba even cooler now. But obviously the biggest thing everybody's going to be talking about from this chapter is the casualties, because yeah, we lost our boys here. We lost the 2 Sogas that were fighting alongside everybody, and then we also lost Mashiro, which honestly hit me way harder than I expected. And the thing is, deep down, I kind of had a bad feeling something terrible was going to happen to him eventually, because ever since he was introduced as Shiba's student, there was always this feeling hanging over him where I was like, man, I don't know if this dude is making it out of the Seitei War arc alive. And honestly, the reason it hurts is because Mashiro really grew on me over time. And I'll be real, when we first got introduced to him, I underestimated him a bit. I didn't hate the dude or anything like that, but I definitely didn't expect him to be as capable and skillful as he turned out to be. Then the previous chapter happens, he starts popping off, and I pretty much eat my words because the dude proved himself. He showed that he was talented, useful, and fully capable of standing in this war despite how insane everything around him was getting. That's why the flashback with Shiba hit the way it did, because you could honestly feel the connection between these two. Seeing Mashiro talking about why he wanted to stand beside Shiba and become his partner added so much emotional weight to his death. It made the whole thing feel way more tragic, because now you're not just looking at another casualty in the war, you're looking at somebody who honestly admired Shiba and wanted to fight alongside him. Knowing everything ended the way it did just makes the whole moment hurt even more. And honestly, I think Hokuzono absolutely succeeded at making a statement with these deaths. If the goal was to show how terrifying the prince and the Mikaboshi truly are, then yeah, mission accomplished, because chapter 121 really drives home the idea that these people are not normal threats whatsoever. The fact that the prince was able to wipe out all of these fighters and leave things in this horrible state just makes him feel even more dangerous than he already was before. And then we get to the ending with Shiba, which honestly might have been the coldest part of the entire chapter, because after everything that happened, the prince ends up slitting Shiba's throat, but the scary part is the prince intentionally didn't kill him. He specifically left Shiba alive so he could carry the message back and relay everything that happened. And honestly, that somehow feels even darker than if he would have just been killed right there, because now Shiba has to live with everything that happened here. He has to be the one that returns while everybody else is dead. He has to carry the weight of losing Mashiro, losing the other Sogas, and witnessing all of this destruction firsthand. When the chapter mentions, 6 men were killed while Shiba was the one person who returned to Japan, it just leaves this really heavy feeling hanging over the chapter by the time you finish reading it. And that's honestly why this chapter works so well emotionally, because it didn't just rely on action or shock value, it focused on the aftermath and the consequences of everything that happened. The prince didn't just win physically here, he mentally broke the entire situation apart and basically forced Shiba to carry that pain moving forward. And that's the kind of thing that makes villains feel truly terrifying, because they're not just beating people in fights, they're also leaving scars behind afterward. And overall, man, Kagurabachi has seriously been on a roll lately, and chapter 121 is just another example of that. Every single time I think Hokuzono might slow things down for a bit, another chapter comes out and somehow raises the tension even more. This world feels dangerous, the villains feel overwhelming, and now, more than ever, it honestly feels like nobody is safe anymore. And after the way that this chapter ended, I'm extremely curious to see where Hokuzono takes things next, because something tells me the emotional fallout from all of this is just the beginning. Like I said, it feels good that Kagurabachi is back. We got the popularity poll, we saw, who's the popular characters there in that poll. If you guys want to see that online, be sure to check it out and everything. I know Chihiro is number 1. I believe Urahara number 2. Akari is number 3. And I believe Shiba's 4. And Samura is 5. I believe those are the top 5 there. It could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what they are. And of course, celebrating the anime announcement like we knew about when we saw everything happen at Jump Press, which is awesome. Can't wait for the Kagurabachi anime. But definitely a lot to take in here when it comes to everything that happened in this chapter of Kagurabachi. Like, the conference is over. Shiba has to live with everything that happened, which probably explains, why he has the mindset that he does nowadays, based on everything that we saw here during the Seitei War arc. And yeah, I'm just very curious to see where things are going to be heading next, because this chapter is definitely one for the books, and I can't wait to see what's going to be happening in chapter 122. That's all I have to say about this chapter of Kagurabachi. I am very curious to hear all your thoughts on it. Like we typically do in the comments, we talk about the chapter, we give our thoughts on it, we theory craft, all those fun things. So let me know all those thoughts in the comments. Be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy the content on my channel, especially if you love Kagurabachi, because there's going to be a lot of Kagurabachi talk on the channel. So be sure to like and subscribe for that alone. Be sure to follow me on my socials so you can see what I do outside of YouTube. Join my Discord server, click on the bell for notifications so you guys are notified whenever I drop a new video just like this one. And I hope you guys are having a great day. Either it's the daytime, the nighttime, or the evening. And I'll see you guys in the next one, because trust me, I have more videos dropping today. So I'll see you guys in the next one. As always, peace out.